Coming up, a complete review of this year's Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot. Today's episode of Beyond the Kingdoms is proudly sponsored by SmallWorldVacations.com, authorized Disney vacation planners. Their team of knowledgeable agents have been creating the magic for over 20 years, and they can book your next trip to Walt Disney World. Just visit their website to get a free quote. Small World Vacations, where the magic begins. Hello everyone, it's David here, trying to keep the magic alive at Beyond the Kingdoms. Today's episode is a review of my recent experience at Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival. I struggled deciding if I should post this or not, in light of Walt Disney World closing for the next 2 weeks. But the video was mainly edited already, and I figured sharing my experience can provide some Disney entertainment at home. Flower and Garden is scheduled to take place until June 1st at Epcot. So if the parks reopen before that time, I hope my review today will help you enjoy the event, and today's episode may even be helpful if you're planning a trip to the festival next year in 2021. Since Epcot is regarded as the theme park for foodies, I want to take a moment and talk about the outdoor kitchens at Flower and Garden. I've already shared my first Foodie Friday video highlighting some of my favorite dishes from the event this year. But I feel that the culinary offerings have improved so much that it deserves some more attention here. Disney's chefs began focusing on food at outdoor kitchens or food booths, similar to Food and Wine back in 2012. And I think over the years, the dishes served at this event have slowly but surely gotten better and better. In 2019, Flower and Garden added 4 new outdoor kitchens, and they were outstanding. And I now believe that this event is starting to rival Food and Wine, mainly because the emphasis on fresh flavors from the garden work really well in the Florida climate. I remember not loving the heavier dishes like the venison stew at the Alps during Food and Wine last year, but only because it was simply too hot in August to really enjoy it. While I appreciate the range of Food and Wine, the ingredients at Flower and Garden just work better for me. This is also a great Epcot festival for vegans and vegetarians. For 2020, there are a total of 8 plant-based options at the various food booths. This doesn't include the plant-based options inside the restaurants. Now, 8 out of 67 dishes doesn't seem like a lot, but having over 10% of the dishes be completely vegan is a nice step up on Disney's part. And by contrast, if you're a vegetarian and don't mind consuming things like dairy, there are technically about 30 dishes for you to try. That's nearly half of the food offered at this festival. So if you enjoy your fair share of garden veggies, Flower & Garden is naturally the perfect event for you when it comes to the food. And that's why I want to highlight some of the best outdoor kitchens to hit. Now, I have of course already shared some of my few top dishes from the festival this year, but I wanted to take this opportunity to highlight the best food booths when it comes to a strong, full menu, and incorporate returning favorites from last year. If you have a limited amount of time at Epcot and you want to know the best outdoor kitchens to hit, these are the ones to visit. The new Magnolia Terrace at the American Adventure is excellent, and this pavilion has become a real hot spot for food and drink, thanks to the Regal Eagle and this outdoor kitchen. Magnolia Terrace is a really great place for a snack in the middle of the day or just before a concert at Garden Rocks. Now, this booth has a fantastic seafood boil. There's also a boudin dish served 2 ways and even some grilled oysters. And if you enjoy some craft beers, there's a new collection of brews here, and my favorite being the citrus lager. And the festival's best dessert can also be found here, the pecan cake. It drips with a beautiful maple caramel sauce and served with some whipped cream on the side. Magnolia Terrace is a must-try booth for 2020. Another great surprise this year is over in France. I am normally very critical of the food booth in France during the various festivals because for me, it never measures up to the great dishes served in the restaurants here. But thanks to an updated menu, Fleur de Lis is another must-visit for 2020. Chefs have tweaked the duck confit here and it's absolutely divine. And the 2 dessert options rival the pastries found at the patisserie. My personal favorite is the simple yet delicious brioche cake that is nicely stuffed with some custard, but chocolate lovers must try the raspberry and chocolate eclair. Delicious! Top it off with La Vie en Rose slush and you're set when making a stop in France. And speaking of refreshing drinks, I've realized that Flower & Garden is the king of slushies, both non-alcoholic and ones with some booze for the adults. So if you're looking for a frozen concoction to help you cool down, there are plenty of options here. My final favorite outdoor kitchen, rounding out the top 3, remains to be the Citrus Blossom, which debuted last year in Showcase Plaza. The menu is the same this year, but still outshines some of the others. The grilled lemon lobster tail may look small, but it's absolutely delicious, and both the crispy chicken with citrus aioli and the tuna tataki are must-tries. And don't forget that you can once again pick up the adorable orange bird sipper at the Citrus Blossom. And if you've already got one of those in the collection, cross the path to visit the Honey Bistro for the new Spike the Bee sipper. And throughout all of the outdoor kitchens, you'll find a Spike the Bee spork. It's a good way to reduce your single-use plastic. And I'm happy to report that there doesn't seem to be any stock issues this year at all of the locations. Now, 2 additional runners-up worth your time are also Jardín de Fiestas in Mexico and Trowel and Trellis just next door. This outdoor kitchen features a complete plant-based menu, and you can smell that delicious corn on the cob from a mile away. You can't miss it. Trowel and Trellis is also where you can try one of the dishes part of Garden Grace, which leads me to my final point on dining. Disney started expanding the food scavenger hunts at various Epcot festivals last year. Technically, this did start with the Cookie Stroll part of Festival of the Holidays back in 2018, but a similar hunt has popped up at Food and Wine, Festival of the Arts, and now Flower and Garden. And this event food trail is definitely the best I've seen so far. How this works is simple. If you purchase select dishes at the outdoor kitchens, you can collect stamps on your passport. Collect 5 stamps and you can visit Pineapple Promenade to redeem your passport for a complimentary treat. And the good news here is that the dishes part of Garden Graze are all plant-based, so even the vegans can get in on the action here. The 5 food items part of the scavenger hunt are the new grilled baby vegetables at Flavorful Kitchen in Future World, the Impossible Farmhouse Meatball at Trowel and Trellis, which remains to be an incredible dish to try, the new pineapple skewer at the Refreshment Outpost near China, the potato pancakes in Germany, and the classic watermelon and cucumber slush at Florida Fresh, which is located in between Morocco and France. Sample all 5 and you'll receive your prize. But here's an extra tip. You don't have to try all 5 individual dishes if you don't want to. If one of them doesn't suit you and you happen to order 2 of the same dish in your family, you'll receive 2 stamps. So make sure you use 1 passport for the group. I saw many cast members giving out 2 stamps at one booth if guests ordered 2 participating dishes. So if you ordered 2 farmhouse meatballs, 2 pineapple skewers, and a slush, you will still get 5 stamps and the chance to pick up your treat at Pineapple Promenade, which I almost forgot to talk about. This outdoor kitchen is naturally the best place for Dole Whip fans during Flowering Garden. And the Garden Graze prize is a delicious lime Dole Whip served in a special souvenir cup. You'll also get a packet of seeds to grow your own purple dark opal basil in your garden at home. But just the lime Dole Whip alone has made this food hunt the best I've seen at any Epcot festival so far. And secretly, lime is my favorite flavor. Now, Flowering Garden is not just about the food. The thousands of floral displays around the park make this festival perhaps the most beautiful event at Epcot. Festival of the Arts may literally have the most art, but Flowering Garden is truly a breathtaking sight to see. Now, I did approach this year's festival with trepidation because there's a lot of construction going on in Future World. This has certainly caused the entrance plaza to be less exciting than previous years. But it will just have to do until this area of the park finishes its transformation. Construction has also somewhat pushed some of the topiaries around Future World, but pretty much all of the favorites can still be found. My one big warning is that because of the entire central hub being blocked off, traffic patterns have drastically shifted, and it seems to push guests in all other directions. I normally recommend avoiding Epcot on the weekends due to locals coming in for the festival, and for 2020, that advice is bigger than ever. I saw a huge difference from a Wednesday to a Saturday. So if you really want to take your time like I did, photographing all of the topiaries and gardens, try and go on a weekday. And speaking of, let's take a look at my favorite character topiaries around the park. Garden features over 50 character topiaries around the park. And it's a real shame that there's no festival center this year, because previously, this is where you could see how Disney creates these stunning floral structures. I hope when World Celebration is complete, we can once again see some demonstrations on how Epcot's horticulture is put together. But seeing your favorite characters made of plants and trees is just as fun as ever. If you want to learn more about where your favorite character topiaries are located, make sure you download my pocket guide. I've listed all of the changes to locations for 2020. But as I've grown older and learned to appreciate Mother Nature more, I have found that the gardens are even better than the topiaries. If you've never been to Flower & Garden, take a few extra minutes in places like Italy, Japan, and Mexico to enjoy my personal favorite gardens, like the tropical rainforest just outside the Mexican temple. And new for 2020, the Butterfly House has a new location in between the land and imagination. This is a must-see exhibit and one that all ages will definitely enjoy. I actually really love this new location for the Butterfly House next to the land, and I hope it stays here in the future. And it may seem obvious, but a visit to the land during Flower & Garden is a must. You can watch the new Awesome Planet film, which is the best of all the new Epcot movies in my opinion. And a ride on Living with the Land is especially good at this time of year. There's lots of extra action going on in the greenhouses. So there you have it, folks, my short and sweet review of this year's Flower & Garden Festival over at Epcot. Like I said before, I really used to write this festival off as a little bit on the boring side, but over time it has become a much more enjoyable Epcot event for me. I still love Festival of the Arts the most for personal reasons, but I think Flower & Garden has become my official second favorite event at this park. Later this week, I'll be changing the schedule around a little bit with a special news update. If you have plans to visit Walt Disney World in the coming weeks, things will certainly become much more complicated. So I hope to provide some details on Disney's current policies in regards to making cancellations or changing your reservation to a future date. Thanks again to our incredible friends at Small World Vacations for sponsoring this week's episode. If you're looking to book a trip to Walt Disney World later this year or in 2021, I highly recommend their great agents to help you plan your next family vacation. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.